Hi, and welcome everyone to the second part of the explanation regarding comparatives and superlatives. In the previous video, we learned how to build comparatives and superlatives, how to differentiate them, and how to practice, how to directly complete an exercise similar to the ones you'll probably have in the exam. In this video, on the other hand, we are going to learn extra aspects or extra grammar points regarding comparatives and superlatives. So once again, let's get the ball rolling. Great, so what happens if I don't want to say that something is more than another thing or that something is less than another thing, but I want to say that two things or two people, as it is the case here, have similar or equal properties or qualities. En el caso de que yo quiera resaltar que hay algo que tiene las mismas características o propiedades que la otra cosa con la que lo estoy comparando, o persona en este caso, voy a utilizar este tipo de comparación, una especie de comparación de igualdad, que en español equivaldría a ese tan como. In this case, I have a couple of twins and it is obvious that they have the same age, tienen la misma edad, con lo cual no puedo decir que uno es mayor que el otro, that one is older than the other one. But I need to say that they are as old as the other. Okay, so for instance, one of the brothers is as old as his other brother. Okay, here in Spanish, what we say is tan como, y el adjetivo siempre entre medias, igual que aquí. Fijaos que en este caso no tenemos dos palabras en inglés, sino la misma que se repite dos veces. De la misma forma, el adjetivo se metería entre medias sin ningún tipo de cambio. En este caso no voy a añadir ningún sufijo ni ninguna palabra como more o the most delante. El adjetivo se quedaría sin ningún tipo de cambio. En este caso, por tanto, nos daría igual si el adjetivo es corto o es largo. That's why I say he is as old as his brother or he is as interested as his brother. It makes sense. If I want to negate it, it's super simple because the only thing I need to do is to add not before all this structure. So he is not as tall as his brother, or he is not as tall as his brother, or he isn't. Yeah, so pretty simple. Apart from that, there is another curious structure that is also taught when we learn comparatives and superlatives. It is to and enough. Imagine that, I don't know, you want to go to a party, but there is a problem, and is that you are underage. No tenéis la edad suficiente para entrar a una fiesta. Entonces, el portero de discoteca, siempre que os lea el DNI, va a decir, oops, you are too young, okay? So that's like a super common and simple sentence that these men can say. Something like, oi, you are too young to enter to the party, imagine. So what we say is to plus the adjective, that's what we can say. Eres demasiado joven. La estructura o la manera de crearlo en inglés es simplemente añadiendo to, que significaría demasiado, más el adjetivo sin ningún tipo de cambio. Copia y pega. But we can also say this sentence in a different way. We can also say you are not old enough, or in the case of this baby, he is not old enough. Él no es lo suficientemente mayor. Fijaos que en este ejemplo lo que hago es negar de alguna manera el adjetivo que estaba poniendo antes y además cambiarlo. Hay un cambio de adjetivo. De young pasaría a ese antónimo que sería old y lo niego. Es muy común que este ejemplo, el que tiene enough, aparezca negado y después pongo el enough, fijaos, no delante del adjetivo como hacía con to, sino al final. Estas estructuras se crean de esta manera y bueno, es así simplemente. Cuidado porque en español yo diría él no es lo suficientemente mayor. Es decir, que ese suficientemente, ese enough, equivaldría en este caso a poner, aparecería en este caso delante del adjetivo. Sin embargo, en inglés aparecería detrás. El único caso en el que enough se utilizaría delante de la palabra a la que acompaña sería con un sustantivo. If I say something like I don't have enough money to go to the party, imagine. In that case, enough, since it is close to a noun, okay, it will always appear before, ¿vale? Siempre aparecería en ese caso antes y se traduciría en español como no tengo suficiente dinero, no suficientemente como ocurriría en este caso. So let's practice a little bit with these two structures. Once again, for a better practice, I recommend you to stop the video, try to do it, and then we check it together. So, well, supposing that you've already paused the video, let's start doing this one, okay? In this case, to do this kind of exercises, you need context. You need to read the entire sentence and to understand more or less what they are saying. So what about the first one? I can't walk any farther. I'm too tired, okay? Then I'm sorry, you are not old enough to see this film. Since you can say as well like you are too old, but it doesn't make sense with I'm sorry. Okay, somehow I'm sorry is blocking you to write to. Okay, so you need to write not whatever. Then what about the other one? It's too noisy to work here. Let's go to the library. Jon was not fast enough to get into the swimming team, so perhaps he was late and he did not arrive in time. Then your handwriting is too small to read it. So I mean I can't read it. Or you could also change this one. This is also a kind of PhD example, or that usually appears in the first certificate. If you need to change this sentence with enough, you need to say your handwriting is not big enough to read. Okay, we usually, first of all, we change the structure, but it also forces us to change the adjective, okay, like to look for the antonym, basically. Then I'm afraid we can't buy that computer, it's too expensive. That's the reason why we can't buy it. I don't think George should get the new job. He's not efficient enough. Okay, that's the reason why he shouldn't get it. Those jeans are too dirty to wear to the party. Or we couldn't talk to each other in the pub. The music was too loud. Okay. It doesn't make sense if you say not loud enough. Okay, if we couldn't talk, it doesn't make sense to use that one. And finally, can you help me with this bottle? I'm not strong enough to open it. Okay, so if this makes sense, let me move on with an extra aspect on comparatives and superlatives. And finally, let me explain you a different structure that also that is quite connected to comparatives and superlatives. It's called in English the more, but you could also find it as double comparative somehow. It's a weird structure that has no correspondence with Spanish. With Spanish, it could be something like cuanto más, más. In fact, you could also say the less, whatever, the less. Okay, you can also change it. But the most important thing here with this structure is that you need to learn it by heart, okay? If you pay attention to the structure that is added just below, you can see that it appears twice, okay, because it's the same structure twice separated with a comma, ¿vale? La separaríamos con una especie de coma. Lo que tiene esta estructura es que, bueno, en español correspondería a cuanto más tal, más no sé cuánto, ¿vale? Y es un poco curiosa porque de alguna manera estamos mezclando el superlativo con el comparativo, ¿vale? Si os fijáis, la estructura es muy simple y además así como intuitiva. Si os la aprendéis con una oración, pues en el examen os va a salir mucho más fácil, ¿vale? Fijaos en la estructura, tendríamos ese de que correspondería de alguna manera a un resto del superlativo, pero es que después tendríamos un comparativo, ¿vale? Junto con un sujeto y con un verbo, que a veces se podrían omitir, ¿vale? Tanto al principio como al final, es indiferente. If you pay attention to the examples, something like the more you study, the more you improve your level of English. Cuanto más estudies, más mejorarás tu nivel de inglés. So basically, by watching this video, you know, the more you watch, the better in the exam. So what we do is that we use this structure to create this kind of sentence, okay? En este caso, visto que en ninguna de las oraciones tenemos un adjetivo que podamos conjugar de alguna manera y hacer su comparativo, simplemente utilizamos more para crear una oración como tal, ya que si os fijáis tanto en la primera parte como en la segunda de esta oración ejemplo, es que apenas tenemos un sujeto y un verbo. Entonces, como no tenemos ningún adjetivo que podamos conjugar para hacer el comparativo, pues lo mantendríamos de esta forma, añadiendo the more después un sujeto y un verbo, y en la siguiente parte the more, un sujeto y un verbo. Todo lo demás, ¿vale? Acordaos que el inglés es una lengua pues muy fija, muy rígida, en el sentido de que siempre va a aparecer un sujeto y un verbo, cosa que en español podemos prescindir de ello, no es el caso en inglés, ¿vale? But if you pay attention to the second sentence, there's something that changes. In the first one, we have difficult, and in fact, it is difficult, the one that is being affected by the comparative, ¿vale? En la segunda oración, en la primera parte de la oración, sí que tendríamos ese difficult. Entonces va a ser difficult el que se vea afectado por el comparativo. En este caso, visto que difficult es un adjetivo largo, pues simplemente lo haríamos con the more difficult it is, ¿vale? Así que difficult correspondería a ese comparativo y después el it is, pues ese sujeto y ese verbo, que en este caso, tal y como he dicho al principio, podríamos prescindir de ello, ¿vale? No es necesario decir the more difficult it is, the more I learn, podría decir perfectamente the more difficult, the more I learn, ¿vale? En este caso sí que podría omitir todo, visto que se infiere de alguna manera, es una especie de catáfora a lo que está, a lo que se presenta a continuación, ¿vale? Sin embargo, en la segunda parte de la oración, ya que solo tengo un sujeto y un verbo, no tengo ningún adjetivo al que pueda conjugar de alguna manera, pues lo mantengo de esta manera, the more I learn. So, this is just a structure. My advice, try to remember a sentence, okay, an example that it's useful for you, so that in the exam you can just remember that and complete the rest of the exercises. And talking about exercises, let's practice a little bit with this grammar point. Great, so time to practice with the more structure. First of all, before you stop the video to complete the sentences, let me show you the example, okay? I'm going to give you one sentence and I want you to rephrase it and create a double comparative sentence. So it's easy peasy, but let me read with you the example. If I tell you something like, if we start soon, we'll finish soon, in this case we have two sentences and well, apparently the adverb that appears, because it's not an adjective, soon it's an adverb, is repeated in both sentences. And adverbs are also affected by comparatives and superlatives. And that's the case here. I would say something like, the sooner we start, because it's a short adverb, the sooner we'll finish. Okay? Super simple. So now, try to stop the video, try to complete everything on your own, and then come back and we check it. Supposing you've already stopped the video, let me check it with you. First of all, the food I like best is spicy food. If you pay attention, there is an adjective there somehow, like spicy, and I can say, in fact, the spicier the food, the more I like it. I can create the comparative of spicy because it's an adjective. I can do it, it's short, so I do it in that way. But since the other part of the sentence does not include any adjective, I need to say the more. Okay, then the subject and the verb, just like that. And the rest of the sentence, in that case, a direct object. Then I like the lessons more if there are a few students. I also have something that I can conjugate. The fewer students, the more I like the lessons. Cuanto menos estudiantes, más me gustan las lecciones, ¿vale? Es un poco esa estructura. Sé que en español no tiene nada que ver con la que estamos aprendiendo en inglés, pero lo que os digo, quedaos con un ejemplo y os irá saliendo solo. Then, if I read a lot, I learn a lot. So, the more I read, cuanto más leo, the more I learn, okay? Remember, always like the order. There's a subject and then a verb, okay? And before the structure that we are learning. What about older people become wiser? La gente más mayor se hace más sabia. So, the older the people, cuanto más mayor sea la gente, the wiser they become, okay? And what about the last one? If I walk for a long time, I can get farther. I also have some adjectives here. So the longer the walk, cuanto más largo sea el paseo, the farther I can get. So I'll also add some extra exercises about all these different issues just below in the video. I hope once again this video was useful. You've learned and somehow reviewed all these grammar points and grammar issues. And well, this said, let's finish it here.